All right, guys. So I apologize for the limited space here because I have to find a place to put the where the power cord is to use the sealer here. But what you see here is what I'm gonna try at the very first sous vide cooking in our house. I have the vacuum sealer already powered on, and bags over here. I have some herbs that I'm gonna actually just leave next to some steaks that we're gonna cook. Those are the New York strip steaks that we got. So let's just start by actually preparing the herbs just a little bit. So some of the thicker branches getting cut out. And we actually freeze those herbs so they're always ready to use every time we need to cook something, which is also very, very helpful. Find out. Those are about 1 to 1.5 inch thick or 1.25 inch thick steak. And we're gonna aim for cooking it medium rare. Yeah, definitely looks like we need 2 bags. So we're separate the herbs and we're gonna use 2 bags and seal 2 bags, okay? So pinch of salt. Both sides. A little bit of pinch of black pepper. And because we're gonna cook this fairly soon, so I wouldn't consider this marinade, just pretty much like seasoning it up, okay? With sous vide, you don't really have to marinate stuff. Things will turn out nice and juicy. That's what I read. Give each of them a little bit of the herbs. Okay, almost ready. We're gonna seal it, and then later on, we're gonna sous vide those 2 steaks. So I'm gonna use 1 bag first, put 1 steak in. Moment of truth. Yep, I think it's gonna be a very nice fit. Okay, and I think we have to really make sure nothing's around the sealing edge so it can have a nice and secure seal when you put it in here and start sealing, okay? Let's see. Take the knife aside. Open this, and apparently when you put this in here, you are going to hear a little click. That means things are properly locked. So I'm gonna try to see. So once you hear that click, this thing gets locked, and we're just gonna start hitting the vacuum seal button to automatically seal it. Moment of truth, first time, let's see. And it's working its magic. Wow. This is really nice. And you can see some of the water gets sucked almost out to the edge as well. Hopefully it's already sealed so it doesn't go out. But once it stops, I think that means it's the automatic seal is already done. Once it's done, you're gonna press the 2 sides to unlock it, and it pops out. And that looks like a perfect seal. And the liquid ran out just a little bit, but it did create a very nice and firm seal. And you can see all the herbs are nicely sealed in here. It's gonna give it a very, very nice flavor later on. Okay, so we're gonna do the other one. This is my wife's steak. I'm gonna leave it in here. Again, same thing. Try to make sure the edge is nice and clean and not touching anything. And no herbs around the edge. And we are going to start sealing. Okay. Now again, exact same thing. We are just gonna line it up here, and we're gonna close the bag until we hear a pop on both sides, and we're gonna seal again. Let's see. And you can see liquid gets dispersed around the steak. That means it's creating a really nice seal, okay? Once it goes to the edge, I think it's probably about time that it's done. Yep, just finished. Nice and painless. Unlock it on both sides. And there you go. And very nice and firm seal. And I think this is definitely the way to go for storage of the steaks. Yeah, looks really nice. Anyway, sealing part is done. So next section, we're gonna actually use a cooker and cook those steaks, sous vide. So before we add the steaks, we're trying to get the water level up to as close to the target temperature we want as possible. And my wife actually warmed up some water. We already poured in 2 baths. Now we're just gonna add a little bit more to make sure it's slightly more above the minimum level. And then we're gonna actually start the cooking process. So right now you see the temperature, which is right now we are looking at the actual temperature of the water. It's going to around 122.8 and it's still going up. We're gonna use our thermostat and just measure to see if actually this one is exactly as what our thermostat says, which obviously according to our thermostat is 124 degrees Fahrenheit, and our machine is saying it's 121.8. I don't really know which one to believe, but since we're gonna be cooking with this one, we're gonna say that the temperature is assuming 121. So right now the temperature is about 121 because we already pre-warmed the water a little bit. And take a note at the minimum level here. So you definitely want to have the water more than the minimum level before you start the cooking process, because we tried it at the minimum level. See, so this is the current temperature. We set the target temperature at 36.5 and the cooking time to 1 hour 50 minutes. We added extra 20 minutes because we want the steak is half frozen. We added the 20 minutes to offset that half frozen steak. Usual cooking time for this one for medium rare is around 1 hour and 30 minutes. That's our target temperature. So everything's already set. We were trying to hit the start button. Let's see what happens. You see that little red light pops up. That probably means the water level is actually not high enough. In that case, we're actually gonna add some more water to make sure we bring the minimum water level way above that minimum line so the pump can very well circulate. And if you look over here, we probably want to have the water above that little port right there. So the water can, there's sufficient water for circulation. And now we're gonna hit the start again. And hopefully that little red light wouldn't pop up again because we are above the minimum level. So that is definitely something worth mentioning. Once you see we start the process, the green light lights up and it's probably already starting to heating up the water. And the little pump that I showed you at the beginning of the unboxing is turning really hard. So the water goes in, water gets sucked in here and gets pushed out here, and it's just circulating the entire pan right here. It's actually heating up really quick. So my wife wants to check the temperature. So right now the temperature is 121.2, 121.5. Pretty stable, pretty accurate actually around the measured temperature. I would say spot on within 0.1 degrees. That's extremely precise. Okay, so we're gonna have the trust on the actual temperature sensor right here on the Anova. Once it reaches the temperature, it's gonna beep probably, and then that's when we're gonna put our steak in here and it's gonna start the timer. Okay. So what I want to say while it's still heating up, it's actually heating up really quickly. Okay, so it's like 1,000 watt heating element. So definitely very efficient for, I guess, home chefs. Like as we are talking, it takes probably about like, I would say less than 5 minutes. The temperature already rising about 10 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's almost at our target temperature now, which is 136 degrees Fahrenheit. And when that is done, we're gonna throw the steak in there and just wait for probably almost 2 hours and it should be done. just give you guys a look at see how fast the temperature rises. And again, with this Precision Cooker, you also get a Wi-Fi enabled app that you can really quickly pair with your phone. So if you're away while your sous vide is cooking, it's gonna give you some, I guess, useful information. Wow. So reach target temperature. Now we can actually start dropping our steak in there. And hopefully it sinks to the bottom. Yep. Not sure if we can find some other stuff to actually put on top of the steak. Maybe like a little this, just so it stays at the bottom. Yep. So we put a little cover on here to make sure that it stays at the bottom. It's gonna cook for
an hour and 50 minutes.
Let's see, an hour and 50 minutes. So as you can see, once it reaches the temperature and everything, it's gonna automatically come down for that time. So by the time we're back, it should be done, cooked to perfection, hopefully, and we should continue with searing process of the steak. And I'll see you guys in the next section. So we are 1 minute away from the sous vide process being complete. The next step, we are going to take the steak out, take it out of the sealed bag, and then let it rest and pat dry. Let it rest for about 10 to 15 minutes. So get the temperature lowered a little bit so we can put it into the searing pan without having to accidentally overcook the steak. Because right now the steak is at the perfect temperature and we just want to have it at a lower temperature before we put it in for a quick seal and take it out. So remember, before I set it to start at 136, but as the time goes by, I think we really wanted to actually have the temperature at around 132, and that was the final temperature that we set it at. I'm sorry, 132.5. So the process is complete. It's probably already stopped with the cooking process, and at this point I would say we'll just take everything out. And again, it's actually kind of hot, but I'm gonna transfer it onto the pad over here, and the other one as well. And we can't wait. So the pump has stopped as well. You know, the cooking process is already finished. The water, I guess, we're just discarded or use it for watering the plants when it's cool. But at this point, let's take this out, and we're gonna just unplug the machine first. Take it out, and until it's cooled, we're gonna take it apart and just wash it really quick. Since sous vide is not a contact cooking process, so there's really not any oil or anything inside. We'll just give it like a really quick small bath in the warm water and clean it later on. I'm curious as to the very aromatic for sure. Like, we're gonna scrape out all the herbs. There are some blood that's cooked to the texture looking like this. Yeah, let's take it out. Ooh, that's all the juice ran out from the steak. All right. Here we go. Sure looks kind of, I don't know, it looks kind of reddish. Interesting texture for sure. But it smells very aromatic from all those herbs infused in the steak, for sure. Yeah. Pat it dry. And we're just gonna have it rest for about 10 to 15 minutes. When this is cooled down a little bit, we're gonna just throw it into the searing pan and cut it up and give it a taste test. Hopefully it's as good as what everyone here says it is. This is what the seared steak looks like. Looks actually looks very nice. We are gonna let it sit for another 5 minutes, then we're gonna cut it up. Take a look what exactly is under there with sous vide cooking. So we let the steak rest for about 5 minutes and we went ahead and cut one of the steak. As you can see, I would say it's cooked to perfection. The pink looks really nice and pink at this moment. And the outside is seared perfectly. I would say the sous vide precision cooker from Anova actually did a fantastic job. Even for us first timer, it's able to cook out a very consistent, very spot on, nailed in New York strip steak. I guess as time goes by, one would definitely want to experience or experiment with different temperature settings to get the steak that you really like. But I think at this point we can definitely say yes, the Anova Precision Cooker did a fantastic job helping us cooking our very first sous vide cooking experience. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask us in the comment section down below. Otherwise, I hope you found this video helpful. And if you did, please do hit the like button or subscribe. And we should have more similar cooking videos coming out for you guys. Thanks again and take care.